governed by that constitution, including the president. And when you cast the constitution aside, you are telling us that rights no longer exist in a country. And I know that the PNC members of parliament, our supporters and our members, they have been very, very hard working within the context of how we constitutionally work as an opposition. They're in parliament. Amanza is doing a tremendous job. She's exposing the PPP. Many of our parliamentarians, Ganesh Maikwal and all of them, they are doing it in parliament. But what can be the results if the government does not recognize the constitution and it does not recognize an opposition in a functioning democracy? What action must we take to bring this government to its senses? This is a catalyst for the PVP to be emboldened to do whatever they want to do again. And with the wealth and the money and the way they're buying black people, the way they're buying people strategically that got some influence over social media and youths and all of that, the government wants to dominate and to have full control over groups that they hate. And this issue with the unilateral plan to appoint, because if the opposition doesn't respond in a robust way and say to this government, enough is enough, Ali will go ahead tomorrow, the day after, next week, and appoint Hicken. Because what they're trying to do, what Ali is trying to do, is trying to feel out Norton to see whether the division in the party, whether, all these things will affect Norton in a part where he's so weak that whatever he says is of no consequence. So we can do anything, but they're waiting. Within that window period, the leader must rise up. The leader must rise up. And he must say that it is one thing to go against me. That's politics. That's party politics and partisan politics. It's one thing to go against me, but it's another to go against the Constitution. And no one is above the Constitution in that country or in any democracy or in any nation that has a Constitution. The Constitution is a supreme organ. Who the hell is Ali? A dunce that could decide, along with Gail Tejera, that we are going to go ahead and appoint a man that killed black people, that the evidence is glaring that Hicken has presided over a police force that has become so corrupt that many believe that he's a part of the corruption. And even if he's not a part of the corruption, he has enabled the corruption, and he knows about the corruption. And he's allowing the corruption because that's what the PPP wants. And so if we know that someone is rotten, they've passed their retirement age, they have exposed themselves as being a surrogate of the PPP, they have disrespected the families of those who have been murdered by the police. It is visible, it's clear, it's evident. But the time has come in an oil-rich nation where people feel the stakes are high. And I'm going to say this to the AFC, and I'm going to say this to the WPA, and I'm going to say this to my party, the PNC. A lot is at stake. I understand that if the fight for governance is won by the opposition. It has an oil-rich nation to govern, and it can do great things. We have ExxonMobil, we have international investors in Guyana, we have all of those things that may cause us to think that we have to behave in a particular way. But when our people are trampled upon, when our people are feeling the poverty in the midst of plenty, when the government can run amok through corruption, when a government can get to full control over a nation and can do whatever it likes without accountability, it is the masses that suffer. Poor Indians, poor African, poor Amerindians. And the few that will be benefiting from the wealth of the nation would be the foreign investors, the foreigners that are there, the business people, and the few Guyanese that are highly connected to the regime. And this trajectory will continue for decades. The time has come for the leader of the opposition to speak to this nation as a matter of principle. It is required of him to speak to this nation, to say to the Guyanese people clearly where he stands and what action will be taken if the government goes ahead and disrespect the leader of the opposition and the opposition and the Constitution of Guyana. What would it be? Would it be business as usual? So that another act that violates the Constitution and the opposition of the people will happen, and it will continue to happen. What would the people believe? There are people who are saying there is no opposition at the moment. I remain consistent that my narrative will be on the side of the opposition, and that my support will be for the opposition. And this must be made known. By the time that statement was made by Gail Tejera, the Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs, an old criminal in politics, I know Gail personally. She worked with Chedi Jagon. She's no political lightweight. Understand that. These are diehard people that wish to see Africans and the opposition of Africans and Amerindians and East Indians that support the opposition never to go into power. This is Gail we're talking about. And so, by the time that statement was made by Gail, we should have seen the leader of the AFC, the leader of the PNCR, the leader of the WPA, and other small parties calling an urgent meeting